Today we are on the property to stack some firewood, but it will also give you a whole bunch of updates of what has happened in the last couple weeks. The fall in Vermont is absolutely beautiful, and a lot of people come to visit Vermont during this time, including some of our friends. After living in San Francisco for many years, I'm happy to be living again in a place which people like to come to visit. So we spent a few weeks enjoying quality time with different groups of friends without filming. But today is an exciting day because it is our sawmill delivery, so we had to pick up the camera again. In July, we ordered a Woodland Mills band sawmill, and today is the day when it gets delivered, about 10 days before the original estimated delivery date. Matt was volunteering at the roof build, so I was stacking firewood at the property while waiting for the delivery truck. We got a very exciting delivery, our Woodland Mills sawmill.
We ordered this back in mid-July. It is now mid-October and it's finally arrived. It came in 2 pallets. This one weighs about 1,100 pounds and really kind of maxed out the traction, what it can lift. And then, the other one's about 800 pounds. You can see the pallets are pretty knocked up, and as best we can tell, everything inside looks okay. So we're going to go with it for now, but we'll unpack these and make sure it all looks good. But yeah, very exciting to have our brand new Woodland Mills HM126 sawmill. This is literally the heaviest the tractor has ever been.
Yeah.
Ballast box in the back.
We wanted a full day to start assembling the sawmill, so we put the sawmill in the shipping container for now.
So when we cleared the driveway, both ourselves and some of the trees that Colby and his team took down, we had a bunch of logs that came out of there. A ton of them were just like 4 foot long. We'd cut them so that we could move them easily with the tractor bucket. Our goal for those was firewood. So we don't need a ton of firewood, but we had the wood, so we might as well use it for campfires and things. And this is what you can see behind me. So what I did is I brought it all up to here. I made a sawbuck. It's nothing fancy, just out of some pressure treated wood here. And that was great because I was able to put the logs on there and then cut them with a chainsaw into 16-inch rounds. I used a little piece of pipe that I attached a magnet to and attached that onto the bar on the chainsaw. And that was great because then I could get really consistent 16-inch rounds coming off. This is something I found on another YouTube video. This is not my idea, but it did work really, really well. Once I had those rounds, I then rented a log splitter. I didn't try and do this with an axe, but I did do a hydraulic log splitter. Rented that from Essex Equipment, so thank you to those guys again for helping our project here with a discount on that rental. Used that hydraulic log splitter earlier this week. My first time using it. I am not the fastest in the world, but I did manage to get through everything in about 3 or 4 hours. What you can see behind me is our big pile of firewood. There is a little bit more, but in here we have probably about half of this pile is maple, mainly the sides and at the back. Lower down at the back anyway. We've then got a load of ash in there, and you can see the birch here at the front. And honestly, going through and splitting that firewood was a really good way for me to learn more about the different woods. Honestly, when I looked at that pile of logs to begin with, I wasn't very good at identifying what was what, but you sort of develop this experience by going through that splitting. You recognize how they split, how cleanly they split, the color inside, and I got pretty good at identifying all the woods from that, so that was really good. This isn't all of the wood, it is most of it. We've also got a pile of cherry. A lot of the cherry we're trying to save to mill if we can, because it's going to be super cool. But a lot of the cherry is really twisted and gnarly and not ideal for milling. So we do have a pile of cherry, and we've also got some spruce. Spruce isn't something normally you'd want to burn, but for us with campfires, as long as we season it well, I'm sure it's going to be fine. Because that's really where all this firewood is destined for us. It is going to be just campfires. And this is a lot of campfires. So while we're here, why don't we give you a bit of an update on a few other things that have been going on since we last caught up with you. One of those being this shipping container that you can see behind me. You may remember from a few videos ago, we said we were thinking about a shipping container, but decided not to get one. One of the big reasons for that was just due to the price. To buy a shipping container, the prices right now are really expensive, and it just didn't make sense to do. But once we got the driveway in, we were then able to rent a shipping container, knowing that it would be a little bit easier to get the shipping container up our new driveway. So we've actually rented this 40-foot shipping container from a place not too far away, and we're just renting on a month-by-month basis. We're going to keep this through the winter and use it as dry, relatively secure storage for a few things that we want to keep out of the elements and keep protected this winter. but also come next year when we're starting the construction, we'll be able to use it to store some of our materials and tools and those sorts of things, so we're not trying to carry things in the truck all the time or those sorts of things. So we had this shipping container delivered about 2 weeks ago. The original plan, if you remember from our driveway video, was we earmarked a site up at the top near the house site where the shipping container would go. When the delivery truck got here, he wasn't actually able to get the truck all the way up the house site. There's a section just after the deep fill area where I guess just the top surface of the subbase is just a little bit coarser, the rocks are a little bit larger, and he was saying that with an empty container, he was really struggling. He spun his wheels. He said he was really struggling to get up there. He thought if he had another couple of goes, he probably would get up there. The challenge was that he needed more weight. As crazy as it may sound, he was struggling because he didn't have enough weight. And for him then to get up with the truck without a shipping container to collect it at the end, he wouldn't be able to get back up with just his truck.
And he had to go back it up because there's no way to turn around.
Yeah, so he was reversing a 40-foot semi basically up here, which like an 18-wheeler. So that was, he did a good job, but didn't manage to get up there because of those concerns. Fortunately, we had this second site as a plan B marked out, so we're able to bring it back down and put it here. It works fine. It's not perfectly flat, but it's flat enough to go in here. It's certainly not going to go anywhere.
That's really cool. I did not know that that's how they do it.
We can load things into here, still leaving enough space on the driveway to get past on the sides. It's been really nice. I've been able to clear out the back of my truck bed, so I'm not carting around all this equipment all the time, having it bump and knock around in the back of the truck bed. So I'm really happy that we've got this storage here. Speaking of hauling around, we have another update to show you. So this is our other update. We have bought an equipment trailer. This is a used trailer, and we just happened to be driving along last weekend, and we saw this at the side of the road with a for sale sign on, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. And as I started thinking about it more and more, I was like, no, that's really interesting. So I went back along later on that day and got a few more details, got the person's phone number, phoned them up and learned more about it. This is a 23-year-old used equipment trailer, 20 feet long with a GVWR of 10,000 pounds. It has, as you can see, a pretty flat deck. It sort of tucks off at the back. It's got the little drop off there before the ramps, which makes it really easy to load things onto. So this trailer really interested me, and we ended up buying it. So why did we buy an equipment trailer? Well, it's something we've thought about before, and I know some of you guys have contacted us and said, you guys need a trailer, and you're not wrong. It's something we have been thinking about. We always had the option to rent a U-Haul trailer, so like a 6x12 utility trailer, and that would be good for hauling certain things. It's certainly got more capacity than the back of my truck, and critically means I don't need to empty the truck out. But the U-Haul trailer, the biggest they do is a 6x12 trailer, and the payload is only around 3,500 pounds or so. So it's not huge. Now, this, to put onto my truck, I will need a weight distribution hitch in order to get the full 10,000 pound GVWR. I'm probably not going to load it that full, certainly not very often, but even just for carrying around smaller things, it'll be really useful to have this flat deck trailer. One of the things that we want to carry around potentially is our tractor. Not very often, but if we need to take it in for service, or like we want to do at some point next year, we want to get some wheel spacers added, which we need so we can add snow chains, we need to be able to take this to the dealer. Otherwise, we're going to end up paying delivery fees and those sorts of things to get it back and forth. And honestly, just knowing that we can move the trailer around is really important.
Move the tractor around.
Move the tractor around, sorry, yeah. I always say tractor and trailer the wrong way around. I don't know why. I've got, yeah, whatever. So we've got the trailer, and that means we can move the tractor. It also obviously means we can move materials around. So we're talking lumber, we're talking septic pipes when we get to that part of the install. Also, potentially some equipment that we rent, we now wouldn't need to pay delivery fees for if it's going to be within the capacity of what the trailer and the truck can do. So it just kind of opens up some more things. One of the things for me that's really appealing is that if we do go and get some lumber, for example, let's say we bring back a load of plywood, we can move them around the site on this trailer, and we can also leave them on the trailer. So if we had those delivered, they would all then sit in one place and we'd need to keep stocking up the tractor with them or moving them around or something. This way we can potentially just leave things on the trailer as a bit of a storage deck that we can move around. I got a really good price on it. I'm really happy. I dropped it into a local tire shop and the guy there took a look and he was like, you got a really good deal. It's a really well-built trailer. The previous owner had completely restored it, stripped it right back down to bare metal, primed it, well, welded some things and fixed a few details, primed it, painted it, brand new axles, brand new brakes, brand new bearings, brand new deck, oh, new wiring as well, redid all the wiring on there. So when we got it, there were a couple of things that we wanted to attend to. The first of these was the deck. So last week, Diana volunteered to paint the deck. So I went over it with a load of deck stain. I'm not a big fan of painting, but Diana loves it. So that works out really nice.
I wouldn't say I love it. I just have the patience to do it, versus Matt does not have the patience to do it.
Yes, I think that's fair. So either way, we got the deck painted on the trailer, and we just used some random sort of deck paint that we found, some deck stain, but it's come out really nicely, I think, and it should protect the deck. If we need to replace it, we are going to have a ton of lumber and a sawmill, so we can easily replace that in a number of years' time if we need to.
And originally that was hemlock deck.
This is a hemlock deck on here, yeah. And then the other thing we've done, one of the things that is a bit quirky about this trailer is the wheels. And if you come around here, you'll see what I mean. These are not your average wheels that you're going to see on a car, a truck, or a trailer today. These are what are known as demountable rims, or sometimes known as mobile home wheels. They're a different style of wheel. They don't have the lug nuts in the center like a normal one. It's not ideal. I would prefer not to have them because they are a little bit trickier to get hold of tires for and things like that, but they are very strong axles. And so I'm actually quite happy about that. I took it into the tire shop and said, hey, should I be thinking about swapping these out with new hubs, new axles, new wheels, etc.? He's like, no, stick with what you've got. They're really good. So I feel pretty good about that. But I did have to change two of the tires. The rear axle had some brand new tires on the previous owner had put on there. He hadn't got around to the front ones yet, and they were 13 years old. So even though they still had the casting marks on and were almost brand new in terms of mileage, just through to the age of the tire, tires do degrade with time. So the first thing I did was took the wheels into a tire shop, had them put two new tires on these and also on the spare tire as well. So it's got 4 brand new tires and a brand new spare. So I feel pretty good about this right now. A couple of other things we did. This trailer has a ton of stake pocket holes, as is common with this type of trailer. Stake pocket holes, if you're not familiar, are these kind of brackets in the side that are the perfect size to fit, say, a 2x4. You can also get brackets like these that we bought, which give us some really secure D-rings and shackles, and I bought some ratchet straps as well, some high-rated ratchet straps, so that we can put a vehicle on here or put a load of lumber or whatever else on here and strap it down really tight. And one of the nice things about this being a 20-foot trailer is that I can actually position the tractor just right for where I want the weight balance to be for towing it, which gives me a lot more flexibility than, say, a 14-foot trailer, which would fit the tractor but wouldn't give me a lot of flexibility. And then the other thing that I really liked about this one is the deck is not flush with the top of the frame. If you look at a lot of trailers, equipment trailers, the deck is level with the top here. or sometimes even goes over the wheel arches. That's good in some senses. It gives you a completely flat surface that you can get a vehicle onto, or with forks you can get in more easily on here. Honestly, I was happy to trade it off for having the weight just a little bit lower down, which will make it a little bit more stable to tow. It also gives me a bit of a side for things to be strapped against or tied against when I'm transporting materials on here. So that was actually something that maybe you would prefer not to have, but for me was actually a plus. However, one of the things we are going to probably do as a little project once we've got the sawmill up and running is to actually make some sides for this out of our own lumber. We'll mill those, we'll cut them, we'll stain them, and then we can actually stick those into these stake pocket holes. And I may well weld a couple more stake pocket holes on here just to give us even more flexibility. This trailer though does give us a ton of flexibility. To give you a couple of ideas for what we're thinking of using it for, the sawmill that we've bought is on a trailer, and the total length is just over 20 feet long, but it's kind of not an ideal trailer for use, say, on a highway. Yes, it can do it, it's DOT compliant, whatever, and DOT approved, and we can get it registered and we can take it on the roads if we want to. It's not really, I don't know, I wouldn't feel super confident with something so light, so long, and relatively top heavy with that sawmill head pretty high up. Now, I can load it onto this trailer with a much beefier chassis, much more stable, and I can be a lot happier about towing this down the highway if we need to, which also means we don't need to register the sawmill as another trailer and saves us a little bit there. Another thing we're going to do, hopefully, is build our new solar kiln. This is a project we're hoping to undertake in the next few weeks to build a solar kiln so we can dry on site some of the lumber that we're milling next year.
Let's back up a little bit and tell them, why did we decide to buy a sawmill?
Why did we decide to buy a sawmill? Good question. So we have got a ton of lumber here, right? So
you can look at some of it here.
Yes, I mean, so this pile of logs behind me, this is stuff that has just come out from the driveway. We haven't even got to clearing the house site yet, or any of the other areas that we want to clear up here for solar and for views and things like that. There's another pile behind here, and all in, we're estimating we've got 4, 5, maybe even 6,000 board feet of logs just in these piles already. Most of this here is pine, but we know there's a handful of ash, maple, cherry, birch trees that we want to bring down that are kind of needing to come down. Either they're dead or dying, or they're just kind of in an area we want to clear a little bit out of to help the forest. So we've got a ton of lumber. So what do we want to do with that lumber? Well, we don't want to waste it, that's for sure. We could take it to a local mill and have a local mill do it, but even though cost-wise it's actually pretty effective, the local mill is very reasonably priced. We've still got to get the lumber there, which, okay, we could use the equipment trailer for that. That's a use case that we could now use it for if we wanted to.
But at the time that we ordered the sawmill, we didn't think of
we didn't have the equipment trailer in mind back then. But the big reason that we want to mill it ourselves is just timing. It's a case of, if we bring a tree down, we know that we can fell the tree, buck it, and have it on the sawmill the same day. And that's really good to be able to do. That gives us a lot of confidence the quality of the wood we'll get out will be very good. When we spoke to the mill nearby a few months ago, the lead time was about 4 months back then. Some of the other mills that we spoke to as well had similar lead times, or their prices were much higher, making it less kind of appealing to do, I guess. So by having our own sawmill, we can fell a tree, we can buck it, we can mill it, and we can have some real good lumber, hopefully good lumber, really quick for free. It's just going to cost us kind of our own time and just the consumables on the mill in terms of fuel and blades and things. So for us, that sawmill unlocks a lot of options. But you've then got the question of, how do you dry all of this wood? One option is to air dry it. You can do that. It does work. It takes a long time. It's not perfect. There's some challenges with it. Another option would be to take it to a kiln, a professional kiln, and have them do it.
And then that again, lead times are very long, and it's about double the cost.
Yeah, it's expensive. You've got the time to do it. You've got to stack it and sticker it on a trailer to get it there, to then offload it, and the same when you come back. So there's a lot of time involved just in transporting the lumber. But for us, the solar kiln was a really interesting option. So we're planning to build a solar kiln ourselves this fall before winter, as a bit of a practice project for us to work on, just something that we can kind of get stuck into and learn and make some mistakes on and try out. We're going to build it out of green lumber, which is going to present a few challenges anyway, but for the type of structure it is, we think that's going to be okay. The other big advantage of a solar kiln, alongside just being quicker and free and all these things to let us do it on site, is that it gets hot enough in a solar kiln to set the pitch in softwoods like spruce, which we have a ton of. So we're actually going to be able to set the pitch in that wood so it won't kind of leak and be dripping sap all the time, even after it's dry, which can happen with just air-dried spruce. So for us, the solar kiln unlocks a lot of options. So one of the things that we've done, we've taken the Virginia Tech design, we've made some modifications to it, mainly just tiny little dimensional changes. And the reason we've done that is so that it fits on our trailer, because we're going to build it on skids, wooden skids, so we can drag it along the floor, but we've also made it so it will fit onto our equipment trailer. And that way we can pull it up onto the trailer and more easily move it around the site. If, for example, we need to move it to a new location that we've cleared, or perhaps it's in the way because we're about to fell trees and we don't want it in the way. So by having the equipment trailer, we can also move our solar kiln around.
And the length of the solar kiln we're planning to do is about 17 feet so that we can fit 16-foot logs in it.
Yeah, so the mill that we've bought, the Woodland Mills HM126 Woodlander XL, catchy name, it can, in theory, mill a log up to about 16 foot 10. That's what they say. From what we understand, in reality, a few inches over 16 foot is kind of the biggest it'll get to, and trying to really push it to the max gets a little bit quirky. But if we can mill, say, a 16-foot log, 16 and a few inch log, we want to make sure we can dry those boards that we've then cut from that log. So by making the kiln just over 16 foot long, we've then got the space to dry that wood in our own solar kiln. And I am really excited about the idea of being able to fell a tree, put it on the mill, cut some boards out of there, and then dry those boards and use them either in construction or for siding or for flooring or for furniture making, for making the sides on the equipment trailer. I think with lumber prices as crazy as they are right now, having sort of free lumber is just a really nice idea to me right now. And that's what all of this will give us.
And for me too, I'm very excited about it, especially after taking the Yestermorrow course. Now just having that confidence of think of something that I want and I can design it and then we can build it. Like, that is just so cool to create something out of nothing.
So there you have it. There's a few of the updates. We've got the firewood, we've got the shipping container, we've got the sawmill that arrived earlier today and is still in its crates and we haven't unboxed. So, and we got the equipment trailer. So it feels like a ton of progress has happened in the last week.
And a few more updates. Now we are officially Vermonters. We have switched our driver's licenses and plates on our vehicles to Vermont. So officially Vermonters.
We did it.
We finished stacking the rest of the firewood. In this stack here, we have mostly cherry spruce and then small rounds of, I think, mostly ash. And total, I think we stacked about a quart of wood. And we decided a quart of wood is probably about how much we can use in one camping season. No.
Way more than we can.
Okay. Matt was able to split all of that in one day with the wood splitter. So there's no reason for us to buy a wood splitter. We'll just rent one once a year for one day and we'll get more wood split than we need, or we'll split it with an axe. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to follow our journey in developing this land and building our house. And in the next episode, we'll be assembling the sawmill.